not getting in trouble for things they didn't even realize were laws that they were breaking. We want to make sure people are educated, make good decisions. Okay, we're back. We don't know why our last live stream got canceled, but it is back now. And sorry for the interruption. For those who had questions in the chat, I apologize. We lost them. Please ask them again. Those are for the folks who are coming in through YouTube and other platforms. So, yeah. Okay, back to Q&A stuff while we wait for those folks to jump back in. Okay. Good morning. How much is a typical jaywalking fine? That's Cozy's Cringe who's asking that question. And the answer is jaywalking itself isn't an offense under the Highway Traffic Act. That's terminology or charges from other places. There are charges or bylaws for not crossing within a certain distance of the signalized intersection if one exists. Pedestrian interfering with traffic could be a thing, but we don't actually have a jaywalking charge per se. You can cross mid-block if it's safe to do so. Problem is, a lot of people get smoked while doing it. I say smoked as a terminology for getting hit by a car. Bad things happen, so you have to be very cautious doing it. Okay, I see Leo Wife is back in the game. What does my work day look like? Well, my workday looks like coming in at 6 o'clock in the morning, prepping for a whole bunch of things from social media content and safety messaging that goes out on all social media platforms, preparing for today's show, podcast recording that I do with different guests, editing such material. There's a lot of things that I do, but we are involved in media relations and which involves all not standard, but mainstream media. We talk to radio shows, television shows, the news, those folks. And yeah, that's all part of the day. Email correspondence, social media correspondence. It's a never-ending thing. More often than not, I'm sitting here on a computer through my lunch. Luckily, I brought mine today. My wife, yesterday I forgot. I was reminded to bring lunch today. I did, because I usually work through it. But that's it. And then my day goes to driving home afterwards. Do Amazon drivers need to wear seatbelts when delivering? That's a good question. So, in fact, I was just discussing it this morning. If you are a delivery driver and you are maintaining speeds under 40 kilometers an hour, doing frequent stops, and you can articulate, because you're an Amazon driver, you got a car full or a truck full of Amazon deliveries, then you can actually not wear your seatbelt while you're doing those frequent stops. Is it a good idea? You can still get into a collision at low speed, and a seatbelt's still the best thing to do to protect you, but there is an exemption under law for that. So not specifically Amazon, but anyone doing delivery, mail carriers and so on. Let me see here what's going on. Did I lose audio on no audio? Stand by. I see the batteries have died in our booster. 1 second. It's always good to have every technical support issue in one show. I try for that. That's a goal. I thought about batteries this morning. Okay. That's the quick release for the. Where's the plus? Plus is there. Okay, we should be back in business for audio. Let me know, Christine. Let me know if the audio is back for you. Let me know if Instagram has audio again. And okay, making sure we have audio all around. Are we good to go now? We have audio restored? Please, let me know. Do you have audio? All right. It might be just, okay, back on. Awesome. Yeah, you know what? Unfortunately, the one thing that doesn't run on power from the wall or USB is this wonderful Ceramonic smart rig, which does fantastic things for me. It takes the audio from my soundboard and puts it into my second phone so that Instagram can hear, but it does run on 9-volt batteries, and those batteries do die. I try and squeeze as much life out of them because I don't want to waste batteries. Wasting batteries bad. Okay, hopefully the audio is better. If there's ever issues with audio or video or stuff you can't hear, can't see, let me know what's going on, because I want to fix it. I want to fix it because you have to have the best, quality show that we can produce for you. Okay. Zero wants to know, how many uniforms do you have and where do you clean them? So it used to be that we had dry cleaning vouchers, and it was the best thing since sliced bread. Now we clean them at home because they don't provide dry cleaning vouchers anymore. That said, they issue us 6 shirts and I think 2 pair of pants a year. So how many? I've never done an accounting as to how many I currently have, but I am waiting for new stuff because the problem that I find is that if they're not dry clean, they wear less good. They don't wear as well in terms of from clean. Anyway, moving along. Can I have yellow flashing lights on my car? You can. They are hazard lights or warning lights, but if you just want to have them because you like them, why? Why do you want that? If you're doing volunteer stuff, if you're assisting people roadside, if you're for emergencies, it is legal, but not necessarily wise to use. So use it, appropriately. Chase wants to know if you can get charged for obstructing a plate with a clear plate cover. Why can't you be charged for obstructing view with a clear windshield? Interesting question. It's not the same thing, but I appreciate the statement. The clear plate covers can be not optically correct. 1, 2, that's based on shape or manufacture, and 2, very often are polarized to prevent the photography of plates. That's one of the many, or two of the many reasons. What are the other many? I don't know. I haven't figured them out yet. But those are the primary. Listen, are we focused on clear plates? Is that the biggest thing? Clear plate covers, is that the biggest thing that we do? No. It may happen that, they're dirty, they're foggy, the surface is worn. So if it's truly not affecting the ability to read the plate, I can't imagine anyone giving you a hard time about a clear cover. It's technically illegal, but I can't imagine anyone giving you a hard time. Akela says, I mentioned Diwali fireworks triggered an air quality alert. Oh, really? Bigger problem for me was the ground hugging smoke that was really? That smoke from the fireworks caused that much of an issue? Oh, that's interesting. I didn't even see any fireworks yesterday, mostly because I was asleep. I went to bed early. Okay. Apparently I keep cutting in and out on YouTube and TikTok for audio. How's the audio now, guys? Working well? Okay, we're going to move on. We're going to try and get some more questions. Apparently there was some audio issues. Were some, not was some. Have you ever pulled over an off-duty cop? Yes, I have pulled over an off-duty cop. I did. One came through a ride program. I have pulled over people who have turned out to be off-duty. Let's see here. What's the best way to get into the industry? Like the policing industry? Apply, and we are hiring right now. www.tps.ca/careers for information on how to become a police officer or a member of the service in other roles. We have special constables, we have parking enforcement officers, we have civilian roles. Great opportunity to join up now because, well, we're hiring now. Red light ticket for making a legal right turn. Interesting that you bring that up. And it's funny because we get this on a regular basis. Do you know that you have to come to a complete stop when you make a right turn on red? See, if you don't make a complete stop, you've run the red. Same as if you go directly through the intersection. If you cross that line and enter the intersection, even though you're turning right, you have broken the law, and that's why you're getting a red light ticket. Now, if you came to a complete stop and then made a right turn on red when it was safe to do so, that would be in compliance of the law, and the camera would not take your picture. So I'm assuming, by virtue of your question, you did not stop before making your right-hand turn. Let's see here. Okay. How many dedicated traffic officers y'all got? Well, if we're talking about Division 0 enforcement team, we have about 20. In terms of citywide, how many officers? That's a good question. Traffic services, I don't know the current count, but we are the citywide traffic unit for the entire city. So all traffic officers that are dedicated to traffic enforcement and both enforcement and investigations of collisions all come out of this building. But I don't know what our strength is right now. Easily over 200. And that's easily estimating. And I would yell down the hall to ask someone who knows, but yeah. Okay. But we do have, it is a specialty. It is a specialist position. We do different things. We are police officers, but we are traffic officers in addition. And every officer gets basic traffic training at the police college, but we take it to the next level. Okay. What are the rules about underglow? Underglow is not specifically illegal or illegal for that matter, as long as it's installed properly, that you're not projecting light directly outwards, then it's probably not an issue. If the only place we should see your underglow is reflecting off the ground, we should not see bulbs or any light projecting forward, back, or side to side. And if that's the case, you're going to be okay. Now, the color of lights that are restricted, just so you know, red, blue, green. Let's see here. Go through red light at night, no one around. Well, obviously, it's still illegal even if no one's around. However, if no one sees you, then we don't charge you because we can't see you. That doesn't mean it's a good idea. And you're much better off if, for instance, coming up to a red light that's malfunctioning, make the legal right turn on red when it's safe to do so, and then do a U-turn where it's legal if it's not signed otherwise or in a place that's prohibited. At the end of the day, running a red light, well, first of all, going through and running is an entirely different thing. They're both illegal. But when you say go through, I hope you're not talking about at speed, just taking chances, because you don't see what you don't see until you see it, and that's usually when it becomes a collision. In any case, it's always illegal regardless if anyone is around or not. And traffic cameras are fantastic for catching people who do that. Jacob has a question. One of my questions that are related to traffic are how do we go about the incorrect signage when driving on the road, such as different signs that are saying we cannot go in in any of the directions? Jacob, I don't know where this example would come into play. We recently had a situation where some construction workers put up a sign that actually destroyed it. It shut down an intersection altogether. In that particular situation, people were breaking the law, doing U-turns, going the other way. They were confused, and rightfully so, at least the confused part, not breaking the law part. You call the city, but you should not be going through and violating any of the signs. At least not, it's not legal. Okay. We got, is corrections a good thing to get into before policing or before cop? It's a totally different career path. Is it a good thing? We have lots of people who were in corrections who became police officers, but that's an entirely different career path. If you want to be a police officer, you could just apply to be a police officer. You don't have to go into corrections first. I was a court officer first, and I worked closely with corrections folks, and many of the people who became court officers were previously corrections people. So we're all related in that we're part of law enforcement, but it's not a bad thing before policing, but you don't need to do that to help you get on. You could just apply directly. Let's see here. What happens if you get caught doing 50 over? Well, that's stunt driving. 50 over in a area that has a speed limit of 80 kilometers or more. 50 over would get you stunt driving. 40 over in any area that has a speed limit under 80, and 150 kilometers an hour anywhere, regardless of speed limit, is stunt driving. What happens? Well, you're going to get a ticket. You're going to lose your license. You are going to lose your license for 30 days. It's a suspension that happens roadside instantaneously. You're going to lose your vehicle. It'll be impounded for 14 days. You're going to go to court, because that's not something you just get a ticket and you have the choice to pay. That's going to be going directly to court so you can explain yourself to a judge or JP. And what will happen there is upon conviction, you are eligible for a further suspension of 1 to 3 years, a fine of $2,000 to $10,000, and up to 6 months in jail. So don't stunt drive. There's other things that qualify for stunt driving, not just going 50 over. Okay. Do you put hazard lights on in hazardous weather? I personally don't think that that's appropriate. I believe that hazard lights are for when you are a hazard pulled over at the side of the road to identify a non-moving object. When your hazard lights are continuously blinking, I think that it throws people off. But many people do it for heavy rain, fog. They drive with their hazard lights on. My argument is, if you can't see, driving slowly with your hazard lights on is not a good thing. Better off to pull off to the road and get off the highway if you're not feeling comfortable to drive. Okay. What happens if you don't renew your license? Well, if you don't renew your license, you don't have a license. It's invalid. You're driving without a license, and you can be charged for that. You're also not insured if you're driving without a license. And if you go without renewing your license for a certain period of time, you'll eventually lose your license permanently. You won't be able to just renew it. You'll have to take an eye test after a certain period of time, or eventually you'll have to start from ground zero. I think 10 years of not renewing, you start with a brand new G1, go through the whole process, which is not a good thing. You've earned, by experience, a lot of privilege by being a fully licensed driver. I would just renew it and keep going. Even if you're not using it, my opinion is you keep it going, but that's up to you. Okay. We got, someone wants to know what the worst area for crime is. I don't know. There's crime everywhere. We're always working to deal with it, but I don't know of one area that's more specifically a bad area for crime. Let's see here. How long have you been a cop? I've been a police officer. Well, I've been with the Toronto Police for 22 years. I was a court officer, and I was an auxiliary constable, which is a volunteer position. Great opportunity to volunteer if you're looking for something. I then became a court officer the same year and did both for 12 years, and then became a police officer. So I've been a police officer for 10 years. And I was an auxiliary PC, then an auxiliary sergeant. I was a court officer and then supervisor. So I've done a whole bunch of different things. But this is where I always wanted to be. Okay. Can you become a police officer with a PR, permanent resident status? Yes, to be a police officer in Ontario, you need only be a permanent resident. Obviously, a citizen also works, but you don't have to be a citizen to apply and become a police officer. Many police officers are simply permanent residents. Let's see here. Okay, Chase says, anyone want anything with Monopoly? McDonald's Monopoly? Yeah. I won a couple of free coffees, a couple of donuts, which I did not eat, and I think I got a sandwich or two. Yeah. We frequently getting Happy Meals on the go for kids who are looking for a snack. Okay. Let's see here. If private property posted a speed limit, can you get charged for stunt if going 40 or 50 over it? No, Chase. So private property allows for charging under the stunt driving laws. So if you're doing all the other things other than speed, actually, if you're doing 150 on private property, it would qualify because that's an anywhere speed, not based on speed limit. There's no speed limit posted. Those aren't regulated signs, so speed limits on private property don't apply other than the 150 anywhere charge. But if you were doing donuts, if you were drifting, if you were doing that, all the other things on private property, you could be charged. Okay. Ryan Pinn, how you doing? Ryan Pinn is a driving instructor in Nova Scotia who jumps into the show and says hello on a regular basis. I haven't seen you in a while, but I haven't been here in a while. Okay. Can I turn right if people are still crossing? Well, if you're turning right and they've left your half of the road, then yes, because you need to yield to pedestrians. That's the law. You have to yield to pedestrians. If they've already passed your position, then you can continue to cross. Unless, however, there is a crossing guard in the intersection. At that point, you cannot until the crossing guard is out of the intersection and all persons are out of the intersection. What is this? Okay. What are the consequences of dirt biking on the road? It's not a vehicle that's permitted on the road, so you'd be charged for, you'd be eligible for a number of things. First of all, driving a prohibited vehicle on road, off-road vehicle on road. I don't even know what the charge is because it's going to be one of those. I have to look it up. We don't have that happen very often in Toronto, and I've never laid the charge. So, but I know that the charge exists. Something will exist that cover it. And insurance, you're not insured for the road. So I'd probably charge you for drive motor vehicle, no insurance. So that comes with a $5,000 to $25,000 fine, and at the end of it, you'd go back with a bunch of different charges. Just don't do it. It's the simplest thing. Now, while ATVs can be licensed and permitted in some jurisdictions to go on the road, motorcycles or at least dirt bikes cannot. Okay. What time frame do you work from? I work from 6 to 2, Monday to Friday. That's my schedule. But other officers, I don't work a shift work. I used to. And generally speaking, we have 7 days on, 7 days off for 11 and a half hour shifts, 11-hour shifts. I don't work that anymore. And they changed the whole shift pattern after I left shift work. Does stunt driving laws apply on my own land? Yes, private property is your property, and stunt driving laws do, in fact, apply there. So if you're doing wheelies on your motorcycle on your private property, yes, you could technically be charged with stunt driving. And many people don't like that. They think that they should be able to do what they want on their own property. But I got news for you. Everything you do anywhere is regulated. You want to build a shed on your property, you need to get a permit to do that. So obviously the behavior that you have in a motor vehicle is also regulated. Chase likes my new thumbnail picture. Cool, thank you. I wanted to change it up. What happens if you drive a car with an expired temporary sticker? Well, obviously your vehicle is not registered, or is not your permit. Your plates are not permitted for circulation. You can't. They're not valid, and you need. You can be pulled off for unsafe vehicle. Like you're not allowed to. The only reason a temporary plate is issued is so you can go to the mechanic and get certified. If you don't have safety certs, you shouldn't be on the road. So losing your plates is what should be happening. Okay. Where can I speed? This is the best question of the day. On a racetrack, that's where you can speed. And I was just at a racetrack just outside of Ottawa, and watched some cool stuff happening there. Sat in some race cars, talked to Travis Hill from Travis Hill Racing. He's with Tooth Autosport, and that's what's out there at the track out there. And there are programs for people who want to learn to race, people who want to track their cars. There's closer. Most sport will give you track days. That's where you speed. Nowhere else. Can I have tinted windows? Yes, you can have tinted windows. The maximum permissible blockage of light is 30%. That's for the windows directly left and right of the driver. A windshield cannot have any tint, saving except for a 3-inch tint strip for vehicles manufactured before 2017. And the windows in the rear, the cargo, the rear passenger, those can be as dark as you want. In fact, you don't have to have windows. Think about a cargo van. They can be completely opaque, and that is illegal. But you have to have clear view to the rear. So if you were going to make your rear windows really, really dark, and your rear window, your rear view mirror doesn't actually see out the back window anymore, it's useless. You have to have functioning side mirrors, at least one. What's this? Okay, clear that out, just going through. Hey, if you're new to the channel, you don't know who I am, my name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a police constable with the Toronto Police Service. I talk about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff every day, and I answer your questions. Really, this is your show. If you don't give me questions, I don't have to answer anything. We just, sit here and have coffee. What's an auxiliary officer? Mentioned it earlier. An auxiliary officer is a volunteer position. It's someone just like you who decides they want to give back to their community, and they get it's a uniform volunteer position. So you wear a modified police uniform instead of a dark shirt. At least with Toronto Police, it's a light blue shirt. The Toronto Police patch says auxiliary underneath, and you're not a police officer. You're a uniformed volunteer, and you get to do some great stuff and interact with your community and support your community. Santa Claus Parade is a great example. That's almost exclusively policed by auxiliary officers, and they're out there on the parade route, and they're helping with the traffic direction, and they're helping with when kids get separated from their parents, and providing information. But they're not out there arresting people. They may arrest people because they're trained and they can assist with police officers, but they're not out there going to radio calls. They don't carry firearms, but they do have an amazing time. I did that for 12 years, possibly the best time of my life when I was young, and just out there meeting people, and yeah, it's really awesome. Okay. Casey says, "Why are you a cop and not a voice actor?" Because I always wanted to be a cop. I watched Chips, and here I am getting to do the best. It's the best of both worlds. I get to use my voice and my policing skills and knowledge to help people, and that's really what it's all about. So, but I appreciate the compliment. Maybe I will get into voice acting when I retire. Who knows? The problem is time. Narrating an audiobook, I'd love to do it. Don't have the time. Do you have to roll down your window all the way? I'm assuming you mean in relation to a traffic stop. You need to be able to have a conversation with the police officer that's talking to you. Do you have to roll it down all the way? No, but if you're rolling it down only a crack, I wonder why. Like, people like to instigate things. I don't know. Just roll down the window. Let's see here. Oh no. That's funny. Okay, Jacob has a dad joke, or a bad joke. I'm going to read it. What did the police officer say to his belly button? You're under a vest. Yes, you heard it here first. And I'm never saying that one again. Maybe would I say it to I don't know. I don't even know if I'd use that one with my kids. That's a groaner. Do I have a button for that? No, that's not good. Okay. Can I show my insurance digitally from my phone? Yes, but that doesn't include a photograph of a document. That is of an electronic form provided by your insurance provider through an app. So if they provide excuse me, provided you with an app, then you can do it. Here I am with I've got this nagging sore throat kind of thing that's been going on. Occasionally I just gasp. It's great. Take more water. Okay, so that's the answer for your val tags. It was a recent change. Now, for your ownership document, it's a photocopy, a true copy, front and back. That's what's acceptable. You can't have a photo of your ownership document, but photocopies are acceptable as long as it's front and back of the being represented. They call it a true copy. And your driver's license has to be the actual driver's license until they come out with some kind of electronic version. That has not happened yet, at least not in Ontario. What is this? Are damaged val tags still arrestable without warrant? Damaged val tags? Well, val tags are no longer a thing. So I can't imagine that I'm assuming that's being rescinded. Mind you, you know what? I got to look it up. It's defacing a val tag, not a damaged one. But let's pull it up because there are some vehicles that do require val tags still. So let's figure that out. Validation. Maybe it's under deface. Deface validation. Still arrest and seizure, still on the books. Yeah. Deface or alter a number plate evidence of validation or permit. Yep, still it is arrestable. And that makes sense because there's still vehicles that must have them. Okay. What do I do if I get pulled over and have to go to the bathroom? Tell the officer. They might, and what I've done in the past is I've taken their identification and followed them to the closest bathroom and then issued their ticket after they finish their business. Nobody wants you to have an accident. That's the only kind of accident you can have because a collision is a collision. That's based on someone's behavior. An accident when it comes to the bathroom, that's something that may be beyond your control. So we don't want to put you in a position like that, but you do have to stop for police. But, having to go pee is not an excuse to run away from the police. Stop, tell them what you have to do. We'll take your ID. We'll follow you to the next place in most cases. Obviously depends on the urgency. Is it illegal to jaywalk in Toronto? Jaywalking is not a term that we use. It's not something on the books. There are offenses for people who choose to cross outside of a signalized intersections crosswalk if they're within 50 meters of one. But if you're in the middle of nowhere and it's a mile until the next intersection, you obviously need to be able to cross. So there is no offense for doing that, but it is dangerous. Can we tint your taillights, or can you tint your taillights? No, you can't. I mean, people do it. What they do is they make their taillights unsafe. They don't meet the requirements under the Highway Traffic Act, and then they get tickets for improper taillights. Now, when there's a collision and you get rear-ended and your taillights happen to be tinted, we also see that as a clue that you did something to contribute to the collision that you become involved in. So instead of it being the fault of the person who hit you, it may also find you fault. So you'd be charged for the taillights as well. Okay. Is your family doing a family-themed Halloween costume? We're all dressed up as cops. No. For the longest time, I just worked. It was easier. No, my kids all have themed stuff that based on their favorite heroes and stuff. They have multiple. They could do like 3 costume changes mid-Halloween. Why don't police officers enforce high beam laws? We do, if we see it. Thing is, you got to see it, right? You got to pay attention and notice that it's there. And sometimes with these super high beam regular lights, people don't notice it. That, and we're also focused on the stuff that leads to serious injury and death. Our regular officers are out there responding to radio calls. You have to be able to see, acknowledge, and respond to these issues. And some of the minor ones, and I appreciate high beams in your eyes is not minor when you're the person in the receiving end of those high beams. But you have to catch it. If you don't notice it, it doesn't get stopped. And it's unfortunate. Okay. Molly McGreal wants to know, stopped by impersonating officers, how to stay safe. So this suggests that, I don't know if you're saying you have been stopped by someone impersonating a police officer, or you're just concerned about being stopped by someone impersonating a police officer. Here's the deal. If you see lights flashing in your rearview mirror, stop. You don't have to get out of your vehicle. Stop. You can roll down your window to confirm that the person is who they purport to be. In other words, if the person who gets up to your window is not wearing a police uniform, ask for ID. show me your badge. That's a reasonable request. If they don't provide one, and the one they provide doesn't look real, call 911. In fact, even if they provide something and you still think there's something wonky, you can always call 911 and say, I've been pulled over. This is where I am. Can you tell me if this is a police officer? Because they will be able to identify if that vehicle has activated its lights and if it's currently, based on GPS, where it is. So if you were really concerned, that's the way to verify, by calling 911. Let's see here. What we got here? I don't know what City of Burlington official is asking questions, but I don't know what the acronym. Can you get permits for what? What is that? I don't know what we're talking about. Is a degree in criminology good for becoming a police officer? Education is fantastic, whether you're becoming an accountant, which I always use as my example, or criminology. Both provide excellent things to the family. I say the family because in policing we are a family, but we have different attributes. So when you are coming into this game and you bring accounting, you're someone who is likely going to go into financial crime investigation, and you're going to have tools to get you there. If you're a criminologist, maybe you're going to go into some other kind of area that your skills and abilities make you best suited for. And then there's everybody else. Everything makes you a unique candidate. Taking what everybody else is already taking and coming with the police foundations, we're all the same. Well, maybe you're less attractive as an applicant compared to somebody else. That being said, we are currently hiring, so just apply, like right now. In fact, why are you watching this? You should go to tps.ca/careers and get all the information you need to submit your application. We're actually really looking for applicants right now. And this might be the best time in history to apply for a police job because everyone is looking for policing. We've got a lot of people just based on the age group that everyone's at. A lot of people retiring. That's a lot of vacancies. Let's see here. Ryan Pinn adds about the discussion on high beams, that officers need to weigh the seriousness of the offense with regard to what you're currently doing. Yeah, if we're currently, dealing with a more serious matter, someone's, who needs the police 911 call, and we see someone with a high beam on, we're not going to stop the person. We're going to the priority call. Jacob didn't know that our vehicles had GPS functionality so they could track where everything is. It's true. They know everything. The eye in the sky. They can even look at our video cameras. It's crazy. Okay. What will you guys do if people drive there with a G1? You mean drive alone with a G1? Drive unaccompanied? It's a charge under the Highway Traffic Act just for that very thing. So if we pull you over, we're going to charge you for whatever we were originally pulling you over for. In addition, we're going to charge you with G1 drive unaccompanied, and that will get you a 30-day license suspension on your first conviction. We'll get you a 90-day on your second conviction, and we'll get you kicked out of the graduated licensing program on your third conviction. So don't do that. You're also not an insured driver because you don't actually have a license. You have a license that's conditional while being supervised by somebody else. Let's see here. Someone wants to know how my drone skills are going. Any broken furniture in your house? No more flying my drone indoors. Yes, but it's coming along well. Something else to know about this G1 drive unaccompanied business. The person who lent you their vehicle, they're going to get a ticket for letting you drive in contravention of the conditions of being supervised. Additionally, if you took it without permission, then you're looking at criminal charge of take vehicle without consent. So all in all, G1, don't drive. Don't drive. Is it illegal to drive someone else's car? No, it's not, as long as you have permission and you're properly licensed and the vehicle is insured. What are the chances of a 19-year-old becoming a cop? Well, maybe when they become 20, no. You know what? That's young. Our average is 30 years old, I believe. But that doesn't mean it's impossible. Everyone's got different life experiences. You might have that experience, or maybe you could get a job within our parking enforcement or special constable ranks to get some more experience before becoming a police officer later. But we do hire young people as well. It happens. You might just be that extraordinary candidate. What is this? That's funny. Okay, some jokes coming in here. Do cops use a GPS when responding to calls? Generally speaking, you're working in the neighborhood, you know. There is mapping software that's built into our computers. Some people do use GPS, when they're learning the neighborhoods they're working, especially if they're new or transferred. But generally speaking, we know where we work, and we confirm the location, and then we go. We're trying to focus on driving, not staring at a GPS. Misuse of the leftmost lane on the highway. Yes. People who are driving below the speed limit in lane 1 is annoying and can be dangerous because it causes people who are trying to drive the speed limit to pass them on the right, and that maneuver could be seen as dangerous. Now, for the people who are upset and they're, the person is in the left lane and they're driving at the speed limit, the people who want to go faster, well, they're wrong because speeding is against the law. That said, if you're not actively, if you're doing below the speed limit, stay to the right. What is this? Length of schooling to become a part of the TPS. So to become a police officer right now in the province of Ontario, grade 12 education is the minimum. There's a push to make it university degree, and we wanted to do that, but that hasn't happened yet. I think they tried it temporarily, and then it's preference though. If you have university degree or college, you get more points, and then you're a better candidate. But minimum is grade 12. In terms of once you're hired, we send you to the police college and you get your schooling on the job while being paid. Okay, we talked about this already. I'm sorting questions. Oh, a question came in from Instagram. Oh. Jace, you're killing me with these questions. And good morning to you too. Hey, tomorrow, the chief is joining me in studio. Did you know that? Yeah. If you've got questions for the chief, you can throw them into our volley group. We have a group, and the questions are specifically for the chief. There's a section there. To get to that, you can go to tps.ca. Sorry, my bad. It's trafficcop.ca, and that will give you a link in the link tree for Ask Me a Question on Volley, which takes you to the group that allows you to, ask the chief a question. I don't know what this question. Does a strong odor of marijuana coming from a purse? I mean, assuming you mean person. I don't know the rest of that question though. Okay. We're talking about this. We're talking about that. Hey, if you're new to the channel, just popping in, what is this guy talking about? Well, I'm a police officer. I work for the Toronto Police Service. My name is Sean Shapiro, and I'm a traffic cop. So this whole show is all about answering your traffic and police questions. When passing an accident on the 400 series highways, what to do? Well, first of all, it's not an accident. It's a collision. Accidents happen like, someone pees their pants. That's an accident. No one, or is it? So it's not a collision. So, in terms of passing a collision, you want to slow down and move over. You want to give them room, especially when you see lights and people working on it. Because whether it be a police, fire, ambulance, or a tow truck, if there's active lights there, you're actually obligated to slow down and move over. But my suggestion would be for any collision that you see, slow down and move over. Give them space. People who are involved in collisions often do something really silly, and that's get out of the car and walk around. And they're putting themselves at risk. You don't want to be the person that hits them. We don't want anyone to hit them, but slow down and move over. How often do you see legal firearms on pullovers? Not very often. I can't probably count on one hand in the last 10 years that I've pulled someone over who had firearms on the way to or from the range. It's infrequent. Illegal firearms, we hear about it all the time because criminals don't care about gun laws. Let's see here. And the people who do, they follow them. And they're legal firearms owners. Is there a spot for software developers in police? Absolutely there are. We've got lots of people with programming experience that work in our IT department. They do lots of things and get involved with awesome projects. So if you have that, check it out. Civilian roles in all areas are all posted on our website. Check frequently though, because we have fewer roles in civilian ranks for certain specialized positions like that, where we have we're hiring hundreds of police officers and special constables and so on. What is this? Do you get food discounts when you go buy food? I have been offered discounts in the past, and that is lovely. I make good money. I can afford to pay for my meal, so I usually say I don't need it or don't want it. Sometimes they insist. Free I won't take. It's a very nice gesture. People have often tried to to give free food to officers. Like I said, I make good money. I pay for my food. I want to support local businesses. Okay. Do you have to answer questions at a traffic stop? You have to surrender your driver's license, your ownership, and your proof of insurance. Other questions, like you have to submit if in the event that you're being investigated for something criminal, in terms of alcohol or drugs. Yeah, there's certain things we're going to have to discuss. If you don't, I mean, it just adds to our list of things we're writing down. All goes to our evidence. But do you have to tell me where you're coming from? No. Do you have to tell me if you're having a good day, a bad day? No. A lot of it's just polite conversation. Sometimes we're trying to figure out what your game is, and when someone refuses to discuss it, suggests that there is in fact something worth digging for. Let's see here. Okay, Jacob wants to know, do you have to start as a cadet? So when you are hired as a police officer, without any accreditation from another police service, you would be a cadet in training. And that's what you are while you go to a police college. Now, we used to have a cadet program where you could work and get paid and work in the community, similar to that of an auxiliary, but you're being paid. And that's sort of like a longer-term job application. And some police services have offered or have brought back their cadet program. I think it's awesome. But while you're a new hire, before you graduate, you are a cadet, at least in Toronto. Twin Dad ×2 coming in from YouTube says, I see the markings on some highways for speed being monitored by plane. Are these lines still being used to track vehicle speed? Sure they are. In many areas, aircraft are monitoring the roads. Somebody there will be the officer timing. They'll start a stopwatch when you cross the first line. They will stop it when you cross the next line, and based on math, they determine your speed, your ground speed. They radio down to a car waiting around the corner who will pull you over if you're speeding. That is a thing that happens. We covered this question already. Okay. Driving with a prohibited license. So that's there's a suspended license. You could be suspended. You can be disqualified, which is a suspension based on a criminal offense, and even more serious. But prohibited. Now, obviously, if you're driving without a license, you get charged. Sometimes you get arrested, depending on what that looked like. Disqualified would get you arrested. Can we enforce the passing lanes on the highways? Well, there are no really passing lanes. There are lanes for, they want you to, some signs recently put up say, slower traffic, move right. Okay. But the people who are on the left are then need the space to pass the people who are going slower. But no one can go over the speed limit. So for the folks who want to do 120, 130, those are all illegal. You can't speed. So if it's because you want to go over the limit, you shouldn't be complaining. You also shouldn't be driving at those speeds. Can you do anything if someone under the age is vaping? Yeah, they can be charged. Okay, are police getting Teslas soon? Not that I'm aware of. I think there's some. There's some hybrid, plug-in hybrid cars that are at other services. I've not seen anything like that in Toronto. I've not heard of anything like that. Is cause for breathalyzing up to discretion of police? So, there's two ways to make a demand for a roadside screening device. One, if we suspect that you have alcohol in your system, based on either an admission of consumption, an odor of alcohol, that's something where we have suspicion. Now, or when it comes to mandatory alcohol screening, which is new as of 2018 in Canada anyway, it's been utilized in Australia and other places forever. We can just make a demand of everybody. Like everybody could do a roadside screening device based on a legal traffic stop. And very often officers will say, I will stop every car for an offense, and every car that I stop for an offense, I will do a mandatory breath screening. And that's a great way to find out when someone who is, let's say, a G2 driver, well, a G1, G2, a novice driver, if they have anything over 0, may not be looking for impaired per se, but they may be looking for people who are violating the conditions on their license. So I for one, think everyone who's stopped should be checked. because very often those decisions to speed or drive aggressively or use their cell phones are because they have other things going on, like, alcohol or drugs. In Victoria, BC, cops have electric Kias. No kidding. That's a very electric. That I don't know. I for a police car, I want gas. I want to know that I can just put more gas in and keep going. What do we have here? Okay, yeah. Ryan Pinn's got a good opinion on bathroom breaks. King Vayu says, in Toronto, if police officer pulled you over and asked for driver's license, are we allowed to ask for a reason for the pullover first and then issue handover driver's license? Generally speaking, we will simply tell you. It's never a secret. It's like, hi, I pulled you over because you're speeding. I need and then I make a demand for license, ownership, and insurance. But at the end of the day, it's a demand we're issuing. It's not a request. If you fail to surrender a driver's license, we'll charge you for it. We issue the ticket. It's not a conditional thing that, well, if you tell me the reason you're pulling me over, then I see fit to give it to you because you were nice enough to tell me. You don't have to tell you. We tell you because there's no reason not to. But no, it's not an obligation to tell you. And making a demand for your driver's license is a demand, and consequences of not following it are charges. Okay. What are the requirements to join the force? Well, first requirement is go to www.tps.ca/careers, and every answer you'd want to know, well, at least most of the questions you'd want to know the answers to, they're going to be there. Yeah, go there. That's the place to get all the stuff. But there's a vision, there's physical vision, health, mental, academic. There's all sorts of standards that you must be able to meet, as well as, of course, being of good. What is the word I'm looking for? Good behavior and good moral. I don't know. It's all listed there. You have to be a good person. You also have to have no criminal record, or at least if you have something, it has to be very dated and have been excused for. Maybe when you were a kid, you made a mistake, and you've been able to show how you've improved or made better decisions going forward. How much experience does someone who sits with a G1 driver need to have? So if you are supervising a G1 driver, you must have at least 4 years experience and have a full G driver's license. Now, the experience you get can start when you have got your G2. So if you have 2 years as a G2 and 2 years as a G, you may qualify. Now, to make sure that you qualify, your driver's license must have the 4 vertically arranged dots in the bottom right-hand corner to the left of your mini-me photo on your driver's license. That's the way that you know that you qualify. Is having a lowered vehicle illegal? Not having a lowered one, but if it's not safely lowered, that would be illegal. So when we pull you over, we're actually looking for, evidence of contact from your tires to your frame or body, even when compressing your suspension. So we're going to look at that. If you are so we'll have you turn lock to lock, and we'll see the wear marks. The evidence is actually pretty clear. Obviously, you have to be there's minimums and maximums of how much or how low your headlights can be to the ground, and how high for that matter. So there's a number of things that could deem your vehicle unsafe. So having a lowered vehicle under certain circumstances could be legal, and in others not. Thoughts on fireworks being set off in the middle of the road. In Brampton, they were going off at 3 a.m., and Nicola says that's why he's tired. So the deal is that's obviously unsafe. If fireworks have to be done safely, and not to mention safely because you don't want to be interfering with traffic, but you also don't want to burn houses down. So there should be controlled areas where you use them. I am not professing to be schooled on the ins and outs of fireworks use, but middle of the road is not the place. Okay, Timothy White says, hi, I just got a $490 ticket and I have my G2. How many points did you lose? What was the charge, Timothy? Was it for careless? Was it for school bus? What was it? 490 has some, as a hint, but what was the charge? Because I can look up specifically and tell you the exact number of points. But I can tell you it's probably more than 4, maybe 6, just as a guess. Ryan Pinn says, when I first got my license, I only needed 6 months before I could test. 3 with a DDC, then you only needed 2 years experience to be a co-driver for good reason. It's much more for each now. He's got different licenses than we have here in Ontario, so that's all That doesn't make any sense to me. But I don't know. What is it? What is a DDC? Dedicated? I don't know what that is. These acronyms. But you also had a military driver's license, didn't you? Okay. Tyler Lalonde says, why can police speed even if there's no emergency? Well, funny, you should say that. Police can exceed the speed limit as long as they are in the lawful execution of their duties. Think about this. Let's say I'm behind someone who's speeding. I can speed up, and that's not an emergency, but I can speed up to pace them, to investigate them, to identify them. But that's not a 911 person with a gun call. That's going after a speeder. So that's one. And then another example, I'm traveling and looking for people who are using their cell phones while driving. If I am doing the speed limit, well, then I'll only be driving beside the same person all day, right, until something changes. So I can't actively look for other people. So I have to be going marginally faster than the people that I'm traveling past, because the people behind me saw me already. At least we hope they did. So I got to look through traffic and approach from behind. I've got to be able to go a little faster. And sadly, the average speed is over the speed limit, which means unless I'm going faster than the people who are speeding, I can't accelerate through traffic. Now, we are not looking to go breakneck speeds to go get donuts. It has to be a lawful purpose. And we're obviously responsible for everything we do while we're behind the wheel. No free pass. If we're doing something wrong, we could be in trouble. Do police ever get speeding tickets? Well, speeding tickets while working, I want to say no. I've heard of situations where, well, actually, we have to articulate and justify why we're going over a certain amount. If we were doing 150, for instance, we would have to articulate why we were doing it. If we had no reason, yeah, we could get in trouble. Why can you guys use phones and computers while driving? Similar to that of being lawfully excused under the HTA for being able to exceed the speed limit, we're also allowed to use handheld communication devices and such. Police officers, we're issued cell phones. I have a work iPhone. That phone is capable of doing a whole bunch of things. Now, one of those things is looking up and dispatch, being able to be dispatched to calls and look up information. That's our police computer for many officers. Now, what does that mean? It means we have to be able to get vital information. Now, ideally, we pull over and do it safely. It's not always possible. Sometimes there is pressing information that must be shared with a police officer, and the only way to do it is through that phone. We can also use our two-way radios, also considered handheld communication devices. We're excused for one, we're excused for all. And nobody else is, except for, there is an except. If you are driving and you needed to call 911 because of an emergency, you saw something, suspected impaired driver, for instance, you could lawfully use your phone while driving for that purpose, not to text mom to feed the dog. Let's see here. Maiden name on ticket instead of married name, liable. If you had a driver's license with a name on it, and we used that driver's license to issue the ticket, that's it's still your legal name. Depends if you assume as well, but if that's the name on the ticket that was correct on the day that we wrote the ticket, there's nothing wrong with that. I can't imagine where this would happen, unless someone provided the wrong name or an old name intentionally. If you accidentally drift in the winter, is it a ticket? Losing control of your vehicle is different than drifting. Drifting is very much an intentional act. Losing control and trying to regain it is a little different. And I'd like to believe that the officer making observations of you doing that would have more than enough information to appropriately support the charge that they were laying if they chose to lay a stunt driving charge. Doing it once because you slid is different than making a turn, a 30-foot drift. It's very different. Top speed on the highway. The speed limit. So if that's 100, it's 100. If it's 110, because there are stretches of road in Ontario that have been recently moved to 110, then that's the thing. You can do that. The posted speed limit is the limit. Okay, what we got here? What are the risks of driving without insurance? You mean aside from getting involved in a collision, physically hurting someone or taking their life and being financially responsible for the rest of yours? Millions of dollars of claims coming your way uninsured. That's just the what if. a collision ensues occurs, if you get stopped by police, we're going to charge you. It's $5,000 to $25,000 on your first conviction and up to 6 months in jail. Yeah, and good luck getting insurance after that. But $5,000 to $25,000 if you're caught and nothing happens. If you hurt people, you're on the hook. You have no insurance. Just a bad idea. People make really bad decisions on a regular basis because there are a lot of cars on the road with no insurance. Why? Because I've laid a lot of tickets for that. A lot of tickets for that. Careless driving. Okay. So careless driving, I believe, is 6 demerit points, Timothy. Sorry, I didn't look back at you. What do we got here? I'm just going to confirm for you, but I do believe it's 6. Now, that means careless driving, $490, 6 demerit points. Careless driving also is unique in that, actually, anything that carries 4 demerit points, I believe, is going to get you a 30-day suspension on your G2. So that you may not have a license right now, or maybe upon conviction. Yes, Akila is correct. Licensed amateur radio operators have an exemption under the handheld communication laws. You are correct. A licensed ham operator, not just someone who has a ham radio. You need an actual license. If a passenger is smoking marijuana in a car while it's moving, but the driver isn't, what charges could or would be laid? Well, obviously you cannot consume alcohol or drugs in a car, moving or not. So there's a number of charges that would be applicable to the occupants there. Let's see here. Duration of an international driver's license. International driver's license is just a translation card in case the driver's license is in another language. It's not actually a license on its own. So there's no specific length of time. It may expire because the CAA only issues it for a period of time, but it's not a legal license. When it comes to traveling or someone traveling here with a license from another country, that's a different story. If they've recently moved here, they have to apply for a license, I believe, within 60 days of becoming a resident, and they can only use the license even as a visitor for a period of time before it's invalid. I believe that's 6 months to a year. And not every license is even accepted. There are some places that the license isn't acceptable. I guess the testing or standards aren't there to be acceptable. Do patrol cars have rear-facing cameras? We have cameras inside the rear seat that are rear-facing. That's the whole, back seat camera. It also covers some outside, but primarily it's inside. Why does it seem that all roundabouts are different? It's like bicycle lanes. They're all different too. Roundabouts, which are said to be the safest of ways of managing intersections, I do buy that it's faster. They're faster because no one's stopping. However, or at least people are yielding, which sometimes causes people to stop. But they're all different, and people are very, very confused. Samir wants to know, is it okay for people to beg on off-ramps? No. Panhandling in relation to stoplights or, to approaching cars, that's illegal. People do it, but it's illegal. Okay. What I got here? Oh, my goodness, we're over time. Oh, we'll keep going for a few. What a silly question, that person. Someone wants to know if I knew I was bald. I do have hair. I choose to shave it off, mostly because I'm balding. But I love the people who think they're going to hurt my feelings by reminding me that I don't have hair. It's like I never looked in the mirror. I didn't know. Oh, my. Do police get a standard issued phone? They've tried a bunch of different stuff. Right now we're using iPhones. Can police run red lights if there's no emergency? Police can cross signalized intersections displaying a red signal as long as they activate their lights and siren and come to a complete stop prior to crossing through when it's safe to do so. Do they need to have an emergency? No. They need to be in the lawful execution of their duties. Fire and ambulance must be assigned to a specific call. Different standards for police and everybody else. Are body kits semi-modified engine legal? It's too vague for me to say for certain. A body kit that does not extend beyond the maximum width on the road would be legal, as long as it was a safe thing, didn't put like spikes all over your car. Modified engines could be legal as long as they adhere to emissions standards and such. So it depends. I can't give you a flat answer on that. I pass going fast. Cops, they don't pull me over. That cop might have something else going on. If you passed me going fast, I'd pull you over in a heartbeat, assuming I wasn't tied up on something else or going somewhere else or having a prisoner on board, or, there's so many reasons why you might have gotten away with it. But I have to tell you that passing a police officer in excess of the speed limit is dumb. It really is. And that's not to say you are. It's just a bad practice. Speed limits are there for a reason. Follow them. Simple. If I have an imported car from Japan, is it legal? If it's over 15 years old, it is legal. Right-hand drive, for instance, is legal, yeah. If you don't have signals attached to the vehicle, if you don't have illuminated automatic signals, then you need to use hand signals, and you must have a placard on the back of the vehicle saying that you're right-hand drive, because obviously those hand signals are coming from the opposite side of the car. However, if there's nothing stopping you from having that if it's imported properly. What is this? Can you get a ticket for a cracked windshield? Yes, you can. It's driver's view obstructed. And what does Toronto Police think of Toronto Fire? They're fire people. They make great pizza. Actually, they're just valued assets in the whole world of emergency services. Police, fire, and ambulance, we all get along. This isn't, NYPD Blue from 1982. We actually get along. We all go to the same calls. I shouldn't say we all go to the same calls. We don't go to, we go to fire calls too. We're partners. We just do different jobs. We're all people helping people. It's awesome. And I kid because they do really make good pizza. So maybe I'm not kidding. Because every time I've ever investigated a collision involving a fire truck, they're cooking when we get back to the station to do the report, and they always feed me, so I love them. 0% breathalyzer, how does it get reported? If you blow 0, it shows the test date, time, and it's registered. But if you didn't blow anything, it shows 0. What is this? If I get pulled over with a G2, do I lose my license? No. Is this Dom? We may have talked about this earlier, but if you get pulled over with a G2, it depends on once you accumulate a certain number of points, you'll get a suspension. You don't just for being pulled over, you don't lose a license. Chase adds that he thinks a cracked windshield is also unsafe. It may also be, depending on the crack. Just having a tiny crack may not constitute unsafe. Silliness. Someone says, I drive high. That's saying, I am a criminal. That's what they just said. They are criminals. They drive high. That's a criminal offense. Okay. We're over time. We've gone over by 10 minutes, and it's just because I love answering these questions. So excited that Q&A works. Hey, I got to wrap it up. I know there's 230 people here who all obviously follow us. Now, hopefully, if you don't already follow us, please follow us. We do this Monday to Friday. Tomorrow's special, we're going to come on early. We have the chief coming into the studio. He's going to join us for a special episode. We're going to go on with him. We're going to stay long, so it'll be an extra long episode. I think we're going to go live at 9:30, and then we'll be right on until 11. So an hour and a half tomorrow. Join us, and we'll see you tomorrow. If you haven't heard this song, I love it. It doesn't get old. I'm going to keep playing it. And it's the traffic song. See you tomorrow at 9:30. At least I hope we will.
Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely helps the traffic flow. Watch for pedestrians, look out for bikes, and don't drive like a jerk that no one likes. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely is the way to go. Put down your cell phone, nobody needs you to text and drive on the DVP. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Stop at stop signs, look both ways, then go. Seatbelt, save your life indeed. And watch your driving, don't speed. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Drive Driving safely is the way to go. Don't drink and drive or smoke some weed, because you might go to jail and not get free. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely helps the traffic flow.
It's a quick song, but I really enjoy it. Okay, have a good one. Take care, everybody. Be safe, and we'll see you tomorrow.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4,